I want to welcome you to this video, which is really a continuation of the video I did with regard to getting more referrals. And basically the video was getting referrals is easy. And in that video, obviously, I talked about how you could get more referrals. But one of the things I couldn't do was really go in depth on some of the strategies and tactics and tips that I had. So this video is being done to share that with you. In the previous video I did, I talked about your mindset, your referral mindset, and then I touched on your also having to teach your clients to have a referral mindset, and that's your job. And what we're going to talk about in this short video is how you can go about doing it, some of the tips and tricks and strategies that you can use to actually change your client's mindset with regard to getting you referrals. So if you've been in practice for a while, and if you haven't, that's we'll talk a little bit about that. But if you've been in practice for a while, you've got past clients and you've obviously got current clients. So some you haven't, especially your current clients, you may not have been in contact with maybe for a month or two, depending on the type of case. Personal injury cases, obviously, sometimes you don't have any contact with a client for 2 or 3 months, but make contact with these current clients on a regular basis. And also you want to reconnect with your past clients. Make a list of your past clients that you really like. You know, we all have clients that we didn't like, and we can throw those over to another list. But the clients that you really liked and the clients that you really think you did a good job for and that know, like, and trust you, make that list and then reach out to them. You know, let them know you're out there. And there's a number of ways you can do this. And you don't want to even be salesy about it. But, you know, if you have a good intake system, you know when that client has a birthday coming up. Take a look. Or maybe you know that they have an anniversary or their kid's going to graduate from high school or something of that nature. Send them a little card saying congratulations or happy birthday or whatever the case may be. But here's the other thing. Do it. Most people will not do it. And one of the things that and I don't have time to go in depth here, but one of the things we teach you is how you can actually make contact with your clients without being salesy. One of the things that you're going to have to do is realize that there are 4 words. The client, and this is the great part about a client, getting referrals from clients, they know, like, and trust you. But there's one additional step, and that is you are going to have to teach them how to get referral or give you referrals. And what we're going to do is show you some tips, some things that you can do, some action items that you can take that will actually start that referral process going with your clients and maybe potential clients. One of the things I tell attorneys is they have to ask for referrals. But I'll be totally honest with you. Most attorneys do not like asking for referrals. Most other business owners don't like asking for referrals. And to be totally honest with you, I teach this, and I don't like asking for referrals. So here is a great way to ask for referrals without really asking. In other words, you have to set up your client's mindset that you want referrals. And as we mentioned before, your clients may not know that you even want referrals. So with a voicemail, outgoing message, you say something like this: "Hi, this is Jim. I'm sorry I can't take your call right now, but if you were referred, please let me know who referred you so that I might thank them." Right away, it sets up in anybody that calls your office that you are in the referral business. And by the way, if you were referred, and there you go. If you were referred, you've already asked for referrals without asking for it. And of course, you say, "I am going to thank you," or thank them for it. So you've set that up in their mind. What we have here are questionnaires and exit interviews, and they're both pretty much the same. And I'm going to explain both of them. A questionnaire is usually used when you have an ongoing matter with a client, such as a personal injury case or maybe a divorce case that can go on for months. Something that just continually goes on and on and on. Or the exit interview. You finish a matter for a client and you want to sit down with them. Now, I'm going to give you some hints on how to use both of them. And they kind of go together. And again, it depends on what stage you are with that client. But the first thing you want to do is sit down with the client and say, John, we are always trying to improve how we provide services for clients. And we have a few questions. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the services we performed and this type of thing. Now, here's what I would do. I I don't know whether I'd have a checklist and just start checking things off, or I just take a legal pad and have some questions that you want to ask, and you can write out, and you want the client to know that you're really listening. So if you're listening and writing it down, that client's going to say, yeah, he's really interested in what I'm saying. So one of the first questions, obviously, is, how do you perceive us? How did we do handling your matter, or how are we doing handling your matter? And these are open-ended questions. Let that client talk. And then when you get to the next question, you don't say, well, what are we doing wrong? No. And what do you think we could be doing better? How could we better assist you in your legal case, in your case that's before us? What could we do that would make you feel better about the way we're representing you? Let them talk. And then, depending on the type of case it is and this type of thing, you're going to find out a lot about them. And those are the two opening questions. And as they give you those answers, then you can build on what you're going to do next. But just hypothetically, say you're in the exit interview and the client says, oh, Jim, you guys did a great job for us. I'm really pleased. You did exactly what I planned and hoped that you would do. And, that just really, really pleased me. And then you could say something like, well, it sounds like you're very happy with the services that we're providing and that we did provide. And of course, again, depending on what they say. And then you say, well, we really want to thank you for that, because obviously we're trying to build our business and we're always trying to please the clients we have or the people that refer cases to us. See, you got that refer in there, right? So then you can go ahead and say something like this. Well, based upon what you said, would you mind writing a testimonial letter for us? And if the client is so inclined, and most of them will be if they've given you a good, report, is going to say, sure, I'll be glad to write you a testimonial letter. Here's what happens, though. And think about when somebody's asked you to write a testimonial letter and you, boy, I will do it. You walk out the door and a week goes by and 2 weeks go by because other things happen in your life and you forget about doing it. So here's a way that will almost guarantee that you will get a good testimonial letter. So John says, oh, he'd be glad to write a testimonial letter for you. So a week goes by, and okay, that's normal. Maybe 2 weeks go by, whatever, depending on the client. Maybe that he was going out of town or something of that nature. But generally, I'd say somewhere around a 2 week period, give him a call and say, hey, John, just out of curiosity, how are you coming on that testimonial letter? And most of the people will be embarrassed. They'll say, oh, Jim, I meant to do that, and I'm sorry. And then you say something like this. Well, John, could I write something? And, and then obviously I'm going to send it over to you, and you can edit it, do whatever you want to do. But just let me get something over to you. You can take a look at it and make the changes in that, and then I'll make the changes, whatever changes you want. And I'll kind of, help you out a little bit there. Well, what goes through his mind is, oh, my gosh, that's great, because I don't know what to say. Now, you asking for the testimonial letter, you get to write it. You get to say what you want to say about your particular service, your practice. John may say, oh, Jim was a great guy, and, oh, I love playing golf with him, or that. But you don't want that type of testimonial letter. You want, this is how he handled my case. He was very prompt in returning phone calls. He copied us in and everything that he did, things of that nature. And you send it over, and John takes a look at it. 90% of the time, John's going to take a look at that letter and go, yep, that's exactly what I want to say. And he signs it, sends it back to you. Thank you, John, for the great testimonial letter. We really, really appreciate that. And that's the way you can get good testimonial letters. So, think about those three things. The questionnaire and the exit interview kind of go hand in hand. The questionnaire, obviously, as I mentioned, will take place, sometime maybe 6 months or 2 months or whatever the case may be. What you want to do is get them talking about how you are performing. And here's the other thing: you may find out things that you don't know is going on in your office, and they may say, well, um, I try to call you, and sometimes I just can't get you. And you're going to find out certain things, and you want to find out those things so that you can serve the clients better. So try this. Try it with your next clients that you're sitting down and you're wrapping up a case. Do the exit interview and ask for a testimonial letter. Hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? They don't give you one, right? So try to incorporate those into your practice, and I'd love to hear from you as to how you're doing and how it's working out for you. I know you're thinking, Jim, what are you talking about? I take clients to lunch and this type of thing, but this is a totally different mindset. What I want you to do is think about your good clients and probably your business clients. This works very well with. But you call up one of your good business clients and you say, John, I know your birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks and I would like to take you to lunch. Oh, that's great, right? But there's a twist to this, and this is simply this. John, I'd like you to invite 2 or 3 of your best friends to come and celebrate your birthday with us. And everything's on me. So just let me know. Tell me where your favorite restaurant is. We'll meet there, et cetera, et cetera. And, now here's what you've done. You have met 2 or 3 of John's best friends. Don't you think his best friends are going to talk about what you as a lawyer did for John? And maybe you'll get some of their business. Maybe you won't. It just all depends. But here's a way that you can meet 2 or 3 more influential people, because if John's an influencer, then the people he's bringing are influencers, and they know people. So this is a great way to meet 3 people who can then bring you more business. This is actually one of my favorites as far as you're getting more referrals. And what I want you to think about is becoming the family lawyer. And by this, I mean not a family practice lawyer, but you are going to be the go-to lawyer for your client. For instance, you have a client and you finish up a case for him, or even while the case is going. It depends on your how your rapport is with your client, obviously. But let's assume that things are going well, or you finished up a matter, he's very pleased, and you say, John, one of the things I'd like to talk to you about is you're becoming our family lawyer, or us becoming your family lawyer. And here's what I mean by that. Whenever you, of course, or any member of your family or neighbors or friends, relatives, has a legal problem, and don't worry if you think it's a legal problem, that's fine. Don't worry about defining what a legal problem is. But if you hear of someone that is having a legal problem, I want you to call me. And I don't want you to just go on the internet and look for a lawyer or all this other stuff. I know a lot of lawyers. I can refer you to the right lawyer. Obviously, I'm a personal injury lawyer, but I have a number of lawyers that I know that really are good at what they do. So I want you to come to me first. So you start that mindset going, right? So here's how this works if you've done it right. John calls you up and he says, hey, Jim, you want me to, my sister is having some domestic problems with her husband, and I don't know where that's going to lead. And you mentioned if I had anything like that came up, any legal problems that any of my friends or relatives had, that to give you a call. And I said, oh, John, that's great. I'm sorry about your sister, but you know what? Why don't you come on in? Let me look at my book. Oh, can you come in tomorrow with your sister and at 9 o'clock? And he says, sure, I'll be there. Okay, so he comes in with his sister. Now, I want you to look at this scenario. He comes in with his sister, and you get introduced to his sister, and you find out a little bit about what's going on in her life, okay, as far as the domestic things. And then you sit there and you say, well, I've asked John to bring you in. I don't do divorce law, but I've got a very good friend that does. And what I'd like to do is have you talk to him. And or her, whatever the case may be, and see how they can help you. Would that be okay? And so now you've developed this cadre, if you will, your referral partners, lawyers that you can call. So you call up Bill, who's a divorce lawyer, and you know the area they're in and all this other stuff. You get the little background and you call up Bill and you say, Bill, I'm sitting here with one of my really good clients, and his sister is here, and she's having some problems with her husband, and I of course would like to refer her over to you. Now, chances are you may not get a hold of Bill, but sometimes if you get a hold of Bill, that's fine. If you don't, at least you get a hold of his paralegal or secretary, or whoever the case may be. And sometimes this can be prearranged, and it will become prearranged if you start giving enough referrals out. So you talk to a secretary or to Bill himself, and I look over at my client's sister and I say, can you go see Bill tomorrow at 10 o'clock? He's got an opening. Yeah, well, I'll tell you where he is and all that, but can you go see? Yeah, sure. Okay, hey, Bill, yeah, I'll send you all the information. I'll give her directions to your office and everything. And hey, thanks a lot for seeing her. Now, here's what has just happened. Okay? Actually, one more thing you say. And when you're done, making the appointment, you say, hang up. Oh, by the way, because Bill is a real good friend of mine, there's no charge for initial consultation. How far do you think that goes? Okay, so now after this is kind of completed, your client thinks you hung the moon because he's the big man now because he brought his sister in, and you have helped his sister, and you have helped his sister because he was able to bring her in and that type of thing. So he's very pleased with you. His sister thinks you hung the moon because here you are, this lawyer that took the time out of your busy day to talk to her, to help her. And don't you think that she's going to start telling her friends about what a great lawyer you are? And now, the other thing is, you have now been able to refer a client to another lawyer, and hopefully that lawyer will reciprocate. That's not always going to happen. Don't worry. And here's the thing: I don't want you to go into this in any of these referral situations thinking, well, if I give somebody a referral, they've got to give me a referral back. No. You give a referral, you're helping your client by giving that referral, and you're helping that lawyer. And if that lawyer can refer cases to you, hopefully they will. So as you develop that relationship with lawyers, you're going to get some lawyers that will refer you, some won't, but some you want to refer just because they're great lawyers, and they, very seldom would come across a case that they could refer to you, that type of thing. But this is the key. You have helped someone, and that's going to go quite a long way. So I want you to really think about that. Now, this has worked incredibly well, and let me tell you, when you start thinking about being a family lawyer, and you get the reputation of the go-to lawyer in your area, wherever you are, that's going to go a long way to building your practice. I want to thank you again for